Following the devastating impact of COVID-19 in the last 3 years, 2023 has been a year of new prospects, both economically, socially, and politically. Working towards the year of revival as declared by the President Hage Geingob. In this segment, we bring you some of the stories that made headlines in 2023 and kept you engaged, heartfelt, and entertained. The Year in Review is a summary of the NBC News foot soldiers who were continuously in the field to inform, educate, and entertain the nation. My name is Selima Henock, and I will be your host for the next 30 minutes or so. We start at State House. President Hage Geingob made a number of trips this year, nationally and globally. Internationally, the trips were aimed at strengthening diplomatic ties and economic benefits for the country.
This included the African Union Peace and Security Council meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, state visit to South Africa where the two presidents discussed bilateral issues, including the Orange River boundary. Participation at the BRICS summit, where President Geingob said Namibia's commitment to promotion of processes, systems and institutions will continue to influence its development path. The head of state also attended the United Nations General Assembly, where he addressed the assembly. Others are the European Union inaugural Global Gateway, the first EU-Namibia Green Hydrogen and Critical Raw Material Business Forum in Brussels, Belgium.
Resources that Namibia possesses in abundance. However, this is a big however, we are no longer going to export raw materials. Together with other partners from Europe, we are dedicated to improving the sustainability of our extractive industry and developing local processing, refining, recovery, and recycling capacity in Namibia.
President Geingob, while updating the nation on progress made in the year of revival, raised a number of concerns on international and regional organs.
The head of state expressed dissatisfaction with the Southern African Customs Union's unfair treatment towards Namibia, which he says in a way blocks the country's industrialization drive. Dr. Geingob further expressed dissatisfaction with the UN Security Council, which he termed as an apartheid house due to the lack of inclusivity.
Fighting to allow us to have a seat at this, not as a small country maybe, but we're asking maybe for Nigeria and South Africa, or any other country. Veto power, even if you agreed, 11 of you, or 10 of you, and there's one veto can kill the decision.
The long-standing unresolved issue of the Orange River boundary was another, with the president questioning why South Africa is unwilling to follow international law. The Orange River forms the international border between South Africa and Namibia.
What is the problem behind that problem? Why don't South Africans want to follow international law, which requires, well, the river, it must be in the center, they say. Maybe there are resources, good ones. Now you have to think again, if that is the case, tell us so we can talk as brothers and sisters.
Dr. Geingob also raised concerns about the announcement of new BRICS members, which was done without formally spelling out the requirements. Namibia was among 50 countries invited to attend the BRICS summit in South Africa.
I was promised there will be no way to bypass and so on. We're all laughing about it. But we're not even told who are the candidates, what are the conditions, requirements we are a member of. Not that we want to become members, but what are the requirements? It was pre-arranged. 7 countries were admitted there. Not announced in the meeting, it was announced at a press conference.
We shift our focus on energy matters. Green hydrogen continues to be the center of attention because of its potential to change socio-economic conditions of Namibians.
This year has been an implementation process at green hydrogen sites, mainly at coastal towns. The billion-dollar green hydrogen projects are expected to create hundreds of jobs. Green Hydrogen Commissioner James Newport, during an update on green hydrogen energy, said government raised $790 million in grant funding for its 24% shares in the projects.
We're really delivering the statement today because we want to reaffirm the transparency and the fairness of the process that culminated in the award of the request for proposal to Hyphen Energy. The Namibian Green Hydrogen Program, of course, wishes to provide clarity and additional detail relating to the tender and award process of the Southern Corridor Development Initiative, the tendering process of the SCDI, and the development of a new renewable energy and green hydrogen industry in the Karas region was conducted with the utmost transparency and fairness.
Still on energy matters, Namibians once again had to dig deeper in their pocket when the Electricity Control Board approved an increase of 8.97% for non-power bulk electricity tariffs.
The ECB raised the tariffs from $1.82 to $1.99 per kilowatt hour. The situation had put additional financial strains on the citizens and businesses. NBC gauged the views of consumers who were least pleased on the increases of the tariffs.
How do we survive at the end of the day? I'm very disappointed, basically. It's not a good thing to hear.
February and June saw Namibians further digging deeper in their pockets as the repo rate increased.
In February, the repo rate increased by 25 and 50 basis points in June. The increase was prompted by the need to manage inflation expectations, protect the Namibian dollar peg with South Africa, and meet international financial obligations. However, in November, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Namibia decided to keep its repo rate unchanged in its last three meetings at 7.75%, including November.
To continue safeguarding the peg between the Namibia dollar and the South African rand while supporting the domestic economy, the MPC decided to keep the rate unchanged at 7.75%. This decision was taken following a comprehensive review of domestic, regional, and global economic developments.
Parliament passed a number of bills this year, some with amendments while others without changes.
This include, amongst others, the Financial Intelligence Amendment, Appropriation Bill, Extradition Amendment Bill, International Cooperation in Criminal Matters Amendment, and Livestock Products Amendment Bill. Bills passed with amendments include the Banking Institution, Payment System Management, Trust Administration, Marriage Amendment Bill, and Definition of Spouse Bill. A number of motions were also tabled and discussed, such as the judgment by the Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriage. The judgment recognized same-sex marriages concluded outside Namibia between a Namibian and foreign spouse.
But when it comes to marriage, we did not say all persons shall have the right to marriage. We said men and women shall have the right to form a family and marry. We deliberately put it there under Chapter 13.
The judgment was a major breakthrough for the LGBTQI community that has been advocating for recognition. However, it caused a national debate, especially among faith-based communities who consider same-sex marriage a sin.
In the twist of events, Judge Christy Liebenberg acquitted siblings 30-year-old Azan Madisia and 25-year-old Stephen Mulundu of murder charges.
They were also not found not guilty on robbery charges. Madisia was, however, convicted on 2 counts of fraud. The siblings faced murder charges of 21-year-old Walvis Bay resident Shannon Vassafal in April 2020.
In the result, it is ordered on account 1, murder, accused 1, not guilty and discharged, accused 2, not guilty and discharged.
The verdict left some unhappy.
After spending nearly 7 months in prison, activist Michael Amushelelo was acquitted of all charges.
Magistrate Linus Samunzala acquitted social activist Michael Amshelelo, who was arrested on the 21st of March over a halted unemployment march. Amshelelo, Ndibulukweni Nauyama, and Ina Hengari were arrested and faced several charges, including malicious damage to property. Nauyama and Hengari were released on bail first, after several failed attempts by his lawyers to get bail for the activist, and Amshelelo threatened hunger strike to prompt his bail. Amshelelo and Nauyama were acquitted of all charges after Magistrate Samunzala cited poor quality and multiple contradictions in evidence of state witnesses. Celebrations broke out in the Katutura Magistrate courtroom at the release of Amshelelo. The activist indicated his intentions to sue the Minister of Safety and Security, Dr. Albert Kawana, and the Police Inspector General, Joseph Shikongo, for 10 million Namibia dollars.
The fish rod accused remain behind bars since 2019 when the scandal was exposed.
The scandal saw a number of prominent personalities implicated, such as the former Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Bernard Esau, former Justice Minister Saki Shangala, his business partner James Hatukwilipi, former Fish Corps Chief Executive Mike Ipunya, Pius Mwatelulo, Othniel Shidifonya, and Philippus Mwapopi lodged appeals after their bail applications were dismissed in the High Court in April last year.
Against the fact that there is no assurance as to how or when the accused persons who are without funds to pay their legal practitioners will be able to do so. I think any delay will not meet the requirements of justice.
Those accused in the matter are said to have misappropriated close to $500 million. Accused attempted bail applications in court. Nigel van Wyk, associated with the scandal through his employment at Shangala's company, secured bail in December under stringent conditions. Furthermore, the Windhoek High Court struck from the roll an application brought forward by 4 fish rod accused that sought to have removed acting High Court Judge Cobus Miller from practicing as a judge. The accused individuals had attempted in the past to have Judge Miller recuse himself, alleging bias. However, their initial request was denied by Judge Miller, and their subsequent appeals suffered setbacks in the Supreme Court.
Still on court matters, Menzies and Paragon have been battling it out in court over the ground handling services at the Hosea Kutako International Airport.
Menzies had the tender all these years, which has since been awarded to Paragon. However, Menzies did not want to vacate the area and filed for applications in court. Until the Windhoek High Court ruled that the British company Menzies Aviation has no legal obligation to provide ground handling services at the airport and no right to insist on offering these services there. Menzies Aviation finally complied with the request from Namibia Airports Company to hand over its cargo in its possession to the Namibia Revenue Agency to release it to the owners. Menzies Aviation was dealt yet another blow in its attempts to reverse a decision to award ground handling services to a competitor, Paragon Investments. Menzies Aviation was evicted from the airport on the 19th of August.
Moving on to environmental matters. 4 people drowned in flood waters in northern Namibia following floods from southern Angola.
Residents of Oimba Ndalunga in the Hangwena region were the first to witness the flood waters, but which fast spread to the other parts. Namibia Defence Force pilot Captain Lebengi Mbwasha, who conducted an airspace reconnaissance in flood-prone villages in the Hangwena and Oshana regions, said Namibia was receiving flash flood waters in one water stream passing through Oimbandalunga's village Oshanas.
I'm sure in case of any other problems that come up, we will be here. So they should not panic.
Aye. Truly the water that is here between Eshoke and Oimbandalunga is too much. Yes, we are hoping it brought along some fish so that we can have relish for our families.
Prime Minister Sarakuhongelo Amadila conducted a 3-day visit to areas affected by floodwaters from Angola. PDM leader McHenry Venani proposed that the government come up with a permanent solution to mitigate the effects of recurring floods in the country. Venani said it was unacceptable that government officials travel to the regions to assess the flood situation year in and year out without providing permanent solution.
We continue with water matters. Access to clean water continues to be a challenge in some parts of the country, mostly in the northern regions.
Out of 62 villages in the Hangwena region's Epembe constituency, 22 lack access to potable water due to low water pressure.
We have been without water for many days. Sometimes we get little water from wells, but some wells are fenced off by the owners.
The Namibian Statistics Agency, after a year of postponements, conducted the population and housing census. The census was held from the 18th September to 3rd November.
Government availed more than $700 million towards the population and housing census. While launching the 2023 population and housing census, President Hage Geingob called on all Namibians to play their part.
The success of the upcoming 2023 census depends greatly on you, the sovereigns, who through your active participation and cooperating will determine not only its successful conclusion, but subsequent planning and policy successes.
Now to some social matters. The Central Procurement Board of Namibia cancelled the bid to supply and deliver clinical products to the Ministry of Health and Social Services.
The bid, which came to be known as public as the condom tender awarded to businessman Shapwa Kanyama, sparked controversy. The bid was part of the $2 billion medical items and goods needed by the Health and Social Services Ministry. Of particular interest to the public was the costs of condoms and surgical gloves. The procurement board later admitted that it did not do its due diligence on the company before awarding more than $500 million tendered to Kanyama's company. The bid was cancelled despite the Minister of Health and Social Services, Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, warned that operations of the ministry would be paralyzed and could place human life at risk.
The consequences will be dire, and for this reason, we need to act and communicate responsibly, lest we send a wrong message to the public.
On crime matters, the police shot and killed 5 suspected armed robbers at Okaanja in a fire exchange.
According to the police public relations department, the armed robbers shot at the police officers and the police retaliated. The deceased were identified as Abed Andreas, Marius Ipinge, Malaika Kotokeni, Eric Marin, Flavianus Njala. The suspects, according to Nampol, had a combined 24 criminal cases ranging from attempted murder to armed robbery and robbery with aggravated circumstances. A further case of attempted murder and malicious damage to property was opened against the suspects who are still on the run.
On a lighter note, Namibians were in high spirit when Swapo Party Member of Parliament in the National Assembly, Eliphas Dingara, tabled his motion advocating for each Namibian citizen to receive $1 million.
In his motivation, Dingara explained that the funding would not be sourced from the state's coffers, but rather from mineral resources. The motion suggested that the utilization of revenue generated from the country's mineral wealth to provide direct financial assistance to the citizens of Namibia.
As we differ from all the countries, we have too much resources available, diamond that we can sell, and to give each one $1 million, and we will not even make a dent to the current diamond deposit that we have in the country.
Some Namibians took to social media, budgeting the $1 million they will receive. However, their hopes were dashed when several members of parliament questioned the viability of the motion, calling it unrealistic. The MPs requested that Ngara rephrase the motion and make it more achievable and realistic. Ngara, on a later stage, withdrew the motion, stating that he wants to do more research and consult with relevant authorities.
Renowned eye doctor Helen Ndume, along with a dedicated team of medical professionals, concluded this year's free eye clinic at Oshakati Intermediate Hospital.
This initiative has brought new hope and transformed the lives of 2,410 patients, comprised of mainly the elderly of Ohangwena, Omsati, Oshana, Kunene, and Kavango West regions. Dr. Ndume is known for her philanthropic work in restoring the eyesight of the elderly and others with poor sight, which earned her international awards.
I want to thank our government with the dedication to this program for all these many years. Without these contributions, we are not going to be in the position to eradicate preventable blindness in this country.
On a rather sad note, 16 people died in Kavango East Region's Kayova village after they reportedly ate what is suspected to be poisoned mahangu.
It is believed that the family got hold of leftover mahangu from a cereal-based traditional alcoholic drink for which they traded some reeds. Government offered to foot funeral expenses and provide psychosocial support. The Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare was tasked to assess the living conditions and situation of the survivors. The 16 deceased members of the Shishuwa family were buried in a mass grave at Kayova village. A large number of mourners from the region and beyond gathered to pay their last respects.
Namibians mourn the loss of the former president of Finland, Martti Ahtisaari, who contributed immensely to the liberation of Namibia.
President Geingob, who attended his funeral, says Namibians are not only mourning his death and commended the rich legacy of peace and the outstanding international public service of a Nobel Peace Laureate with an indelible association with Namibia.
Namibia lost a number of prominent people in the political and social arena. We pay tribute to them. May their souls rest in peace. Now to some arts and entertainment stories. The Namibian Broadcasting Corporation continues to promote local content.
NBC's Director General Stanley Similo expressed pride in the project while calling on the business community to support the local film industry.
There will be commercial value out of the films that are here because we've managed to identify about 3 or 5 platforms where we can also take these films to so that they can start generating funds in that way so that we can build and make this bigger.
The NBC and MultiChoice Namibia launched the much-awaited Mukwaro film project.
The Namibian Broadcasting Corporation and MultiChoice have achieved in producing 13 locally produced short films. 13 producers were selected out of over 200 submissions in the first phase of the production. The local films that were produced in collaboration with the NBC provided compelling viewing for DSTV and GoTV customers and takes Namibian stories to the world. Deputy Minister of ICT, Emma Theophilis, described the development as an exciting step for the creative industry.
Film, as a powerful medium of expression, has the potential to address the pressing issue of unemployment and must be prioritized accordingly. We recognize that the funding provided by MultiChoice for this project is just the beginning of a promising journey that will ensure and anticipate the involvement of more stakeholders who share the same vision to grow the film industry.
Miss Namibia Jamila Uiras showcased her grace and poise on the international stage of the 72nd Miss Universe Beauty pageant that took place in El Salvador.
Earning her well-deserved spot in the top 20 out of 84 entrants and won the Miss Universe Beauty's Face of the Universe award. Namibians rallied behind the beauty queen with social media pouring with well wishes and support. The beauty queen captivated the nation, creating a moment of unity among all Namibians and achieving a historic feat by restoring confidence in Namibia's ability to win Miss Universe.
President Hage Geingob and First Lady Monica Geingob were the guest of honor at this year's Damara Annual Cultural Festival held at Okombaye Settlement in Erongo region.
The 34 clans of the Damaran spread across Namibia descended on Okombaye to pay homage to their forefathers, the great kings who led the community through the centuries, celebrated the culture preserved since times immemorial. For the Damaran, the sacred ancestral fire is where connections to one's ancestors' healing and lineage are explained and brought to the fore. It is for this reason that President Hage Geingob, as a guest of Gaob Garweb, had to be taken to the site first. Alongside First Lady, who was clad in the Tsayo Daman traditional dress, the clan from which her husband originates.
The San people held their first cultural festival this year.
While others have already enjoyed years of celebrations, it was the first for the San Cultural Festival held at Khobabes. The San Cultural Festival's primary objective is to make sure that the tradition survives the storm of the modern world. Large amounts of time was spent on conversation, joking, music, and dances. However, these were just not songs and dances, because through them they connect with the spirits of their ancestors, while others are for healing. President Hage Geingob and First Lady Monica Geingob attended the opening ceremony of the festival.
Now on to international news. All Namibian nationals traveling to or visiting the UK will now be required to have a visa.
The decision to impose a visa regime was as a result of an increase in the number of asylum seeker applications from Namibian nationals to that country since 2016. The British government viewed this as an abuse of the provision to visit the UK for a limited period as non-visa nationals. The changes applies to all Namibian nationals traveling to or visiting the UK. The changes brought Namibians in line with many other visa Commonwealth countries.
Israel-Palestinian conflict killed tens of thousands and displaced millions.
Israel and Palestine both were on the same land, which has caused conflict over centuries. In early October this year, war broke out between Israel and Hamas. International communities have been calling for peaceful resolution to the conflict. President Hage Geingob added his voice and called on the UN Security Council to act swiftly and ensure that resolutions regarding the rights of people of the Palestine to live in peace and determine their future. The Swapo Party led a national march in Windhoek in solidarity with the people of Palestine. The march started in Zoo Park to United Nations offices, where they handed in a petition requesting for peaceful resolution.
That is all we had for you on This Year in Review. From me, Selima Henock, and the entire NBC, we wish you all that is best for the year 2024.